Okay, welcome to our panel, guys. Thank you for joining us. Just to start with some introductions, I'm Serena. I'm a community pharmacist by background. I manage Harrods Pharmacy at the moment, got my own aesthetics clinic in 2 locations, medical cannabis consultant, and a whole load of other things. But I'm going to let these lot take over. So, Nana, what's your role?
Okay, so my name is Nana. I'm a clinical pharmacist, a health content creator, and I'm also a mum. So yeah, that's what I do. I do content creating part-time when I have spare time.
Hi, I'm Nicola. I think I've spoken to virtually everybody today. So, Head of Marketing over at Revive Active, who you all know by now is Ireland's #1 supplement brand, but absolutely thanks to community pharmacists in Ireland. So that's what we want to replicate in the UK.
Hi everyone, I'm Rena, so I'm a pharmacist by background. I have multiple sort of entrepreneurial roles. I'm a healthcare strategy consultant, supporting health tech and healthcare organisations. I also am a mum of 2, so share a lot on mum life.
Amazing. My name's Dan. I'm a community pharmacist, been so for about the last 5 years now. The last year I started a mobile ear clinic. So I go and meet a lot of artists and things like that and do like earwax suction, hearing tests, that kind of thing. And then also a content creator on TikTok mainly and Instagram.
Hi everyone, my name's Nazia Mahay. I'm a clinical pharmacist by background. Currently I'm working for Precision Biotics as a medical demand account manager. And Precision Biotics is an Irish company, and we are the #1 recommended probiotic in the US, and we hope to replicate that in the UK.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. So let's just get straight into it, really. So we have seen a huge increase in supplement use over the last few years, but evidence can vary and that can affect the quality. So just wanted to know, Nana, firstly, what would you advise practicing pharmacists how to approach like latest research when advising patients about supplements?
Okay, thank you, Serena. You are right. Supplements is growing, but as pharmacists, it's important to apply the same principles we use for medicines. So rely on credible resources. So I normally say go for meta-analysis, go for peer reviews, guidelines as well. If you're unsure, just ask around. There's always going to be someone there that can help you. Also, as pharmacists, always apply 3 rules. I would say, number 1, tailor it to the patient. So assess their diet, their lifestyle. And number 2, making sure that if there's no evidence or if evidence is limited, let the patient know. This earns trust from the patient and they will always want to come back to you. And number 3, do not dismiss them. You'll find out that most patients are using supplements and there is less evidence out there. But as I said, just guide them. We're there to guide them on safety. We're there to guide them on interactions and, of course, what is more beneficial. So, yeah, you're right. Definitely rely on meta-analysis, large RCTs, or randomized control trials, instead of small studies.
Thank you. And Nicola, obviously, you've been in the industry for a very long time. Can you give us some guidance on how you can advise pharmacists for the same thing? How should they approach patients?
Yeah, so I've been amazed today. So everybody's talking about evidence-backed and scientific-backed, music to our ears. So many supplement companies are not, to be quite honest. And how the hell you all manage to do your day jobs and then look at research papers and everything else dumbfounds me. I would say lean into your supplier. In our company, 80% of the time of a life cycle of a product is in the R&D department. They are the guys that are going through the ingredients, the clinical trials, the studies, the peer papers. They're not skimming it, they're deep diving. They've already got that information. So make sure you ask them for what training have you got? What training materials? Can you come into store? Can you do something for me? At lunchtimes, I've got a busy practice. We can do all that kind of stuff. Lean into that, because why are you trying to do that same piece yourself? Yes, it's important to get that peer advice and things like that going on. It's crucially important, but we've already got those things. A good supplier, we've got that information, haven't we? So lean into us. Don't replicate or duplicate that work because you've got too much other stuff to be doing.
Exactly. And I think it's so important. I source some of the best supplements across the globe for the most affluent pharmacy in the country, essentially. And we are so specific with which suppliers we choose because of their research. So I don't have time to go and look at all of it myself. I rely on you guys to do it. So perfect. Thank you. Right, so I've got a question now for Rena and Dan. Both of you work in clinical pharmacy and you've got a big presence in terms of digital health communication through various social media platforms. How do you guys use your online presence? So do you think having an online presence has actually changed how you approach your consultations, or has it remained the same? Can you give us an insight?
Yeah, and I think it's a good question. I think, prevention is sort of where all this stems from. And I think we need to think about prevention through the lens of how people want to receive that advice. And I think what people want more through social media is not that prescriptive advice that we might all be used to. It's those small daily habits, those small tips that we can use to really change how we live and how we can make those lifestyle changes. So I think social media has offered the opportunity to really give people those top tips on how to really help them live their best lives, really. And I think in terms of the pharmacy conversation, if we look at the national policy direction, the narrative is really changing to prevention. So we're going to see more and more people trying to take that ownership in their own health and that supporting their self-management. And I think that's where pharmacists are going to really play a really key role in that, in the narrative that we use to support people to use that evidence-based practice to advise.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Dan, do you think you having an online presence has changed your consultations?
Yeah.
Or have you kept it the same?
Yeah, no,
Are you still the same cool guy?
Yeah, no, it's I think early on when I first started social media, I realized how heavy the weight, like the responsibility that we have as influencers, especially ones who are pharmacists or doctors or nurses or whoever, because you want to make sure that you're providing the right information. So for myself, before every video I post, I make sure I'm doing enough research, making sure, again, looking at clinical trials, that kind of thing, making sure that what I'm saying is actually, one, firstly, educational, that people are learning something, and two, is accurate. So in doing that research, it helped me in my day-to-day, because I'm on a day-to-day basis, I'm just learning new things. I don't know about you guys, but when I forgot a lot of the stuff I learned at uni. So like, I needed a refresher for sure.
Thank you so much. And I think as pharmacists, it's really important to make sure you're putting accurate advice out there, because we do have a duty of care.
Exactly.
We have professional qualifications, and there's repercussions if we obviously don't put the correct information out there. So, huge topic now, gut health. How many of us have all heard about gut health? We're all on social, so you are or you're not, gut health is everywhere. So it's trending, whether it's social media or scientific journals. Now, what I want to know, I'll ask Nazi this question first. How do pharmacists distinguish between a marketing hype and genuine clinical evidence? We've obviously spoken about evidence loads, but how can pharmacists distinguish that when they're giving information about digestive wellness?
Okay, so that's a great question. So now, when somebody goes into a pharmacy, there's a plethora of probiotics out there, and it can be a minefield. It can be a minefield for the patient, but it can also be a minefield for the pharmacist. So here's how you can cut through that noise. The first thing is, when you are recommending a probiotic, make sure you are recommending one that has gold standard data. So it's backed by RCTs, meta-analysis, or real-world evidence, and those have been published in peer-reviewed journals, for instance, the gastroenterology. The other thing to really kind of focus on, and I think we've mentioned this quite a lot today, is matching the strain to the indication. So probiotics are strain specific. If that's one key message you're going to take away with you today, I'd like it to be that. So they're strain specific. Each strain has its own unique clinical effect. For instance, the B. longum 35624 strain, that's been really well documented for its IBS and gastro benefits, whereas the B. longum 1714 strain, that's been well documented for anxiety and stress. The other thing to really look out for is the CFU count, and we've had lots of conversations on that today as well. So it's so important to assess both the CFU count and the clinical efficacy at the specified dose. A higher CFU count doesn't always translate to better clinical outcomes, and that is a huge misconception out there. The final thing that I would like to say is, when you are picking a probiotic that has multiple strains, please make sure that you've assessed that those strains work in synergy together and don't have an antagonist effect. Sometimes when you pick a probiotic, those individual strains may have been studied really well individually, but unless they've been studied together, that product may not be as effective as the data indicates.
Perfect, thank you. And there's so many probiotics on the market now, sometimes like, which one do I pick? And some, I'll be completely honest, some companies have great marketing budgets, doesn't mean it always works. So thank you. I'm going to ask you the same question, and obviously you're in clinical practice. Yeah. How do you sort of help your patients to distinguish between marketing hype versus clinical evidence?
Okay, so I normally say they should look beyond buzzwords such as detox and reset, because these are not clinically backed.
Can you say it a bit louder?
So look beyond buzzwords such as detox or reset, because these are not clinically backed up. I will always say rely on evidence as well, and looking for specific strains, as Naz was saying. Also talk about interventions, so you can literally start intervention from changing diets, opting for fiber-rich diet, assess patient sleep management, assess their stress levels, and of course hydration. These things can help with your gut health. So these are the most important things I would say I'll look at. But yeah, definitely look for evidence-based if you're going to recommend supplement or probiotic.
And last but not least, Rena, I've got the same question for you, because obviously you have a huge digital health communication. That's what you do. So how would you explain to your patients when you're doing consultations the difference between hype versus a reliable product?
I mean, I think a lot of it has been said, but,
but we still want to hear from you.
Obviously, gut health has gained a lot more airtime, and people are curious, people are probably confused, people want to understand it a bit better. And I'm more of an advocate for starting with fundamentals. Are you hydrated? Are you sleeping well? Are you moving your body? Are you having a diverse diet? Those are the key fundamentals, and I think there's definitely a place for supplements and probiotics in sort of how we can help in our supporting our self-management. Again, evidence-backed is obviously what every pharmacist will and should say. And I think that's it, making sure that you've got the evidence to back up the claims that some companies make, and making sure that you're giving the right messaging. I think going back to what Dan was saying, it's really important that we maintain our credibility as pharmacy professionals when we're delivering information through sort of digital platforms.
And it is really important, like we've all said evidence-backed a million times, but also about providing that holistic consultation approach.
Absolutely.
Are you sleeping? Are you drinking water?
Yeah.
Are you stressed?
Yeah.
Like those are the fundamentals. Thank you so much. So one thing I want to ask Dan, actually, in your opinion, what is the most challenging aspect when you're trying to incorporate supplements into your consultation when you're in pharmacy practice? What do you find the most difficult, you think?
So for me, I'm actually finding it a lot easier now to suggest supplements. I think the two groups that I struggle with is maybe more the elderly population, and then also people are coming into a pharmacy who are like, listen, I need antibiotics right now, and
you're going to give it to me.
Yeah, literally those people.
Because the TV said so. You do pharmacy.
Yeah, exactly. So those really acute cases where someone's just coming like, I need a painkiller, that kind of thing. But everywhere else, I've been finding that it's actually pretty okay. A lot of people are coming into contact with supplements a lot more, and they're coming in saying, look, I don't really want a traditional medicine. Is there anything that is a bit more sort of, again, supplement based or natural that can help me, so that, again, preventative health, that kind of thing. That's my answer.
In my personal opinion, I think the hardest thing for me trying to incorporate supplements is when patients think they know better. Right, so a couple of quick ones now. In one word, how would you all describe the future of preventative health? Mine would be digital.
Proactive.
Symbiotic. Ooh, look at me.
Empowerment.
Important.
Essential.
Okay, and then what's one thing you wish pharmacists understood better about how supplements are developed? Nicola?
Not all supplements are equal. End of story. I think you already know that, but we need to kind of keep pushing that one home.
And Nazia?
I think just going back to probiotics being strain specific, and it's not just about throwing a whole lot of different kind of strains into one formulation. You need to make sure that they work well individually as well as in synergy together, and you're selecting the right strain for the indication that you need it for.
Perfect. And Nana, I'm going to ask you, what's the most common supplement question you get on social media?
Should I be taking magnesium?
Right, just to summarise, guys, so obviously, thank you so much to everyone for the panel. Please feel free to ask us any questions. But before we wrap up, one thing I want everyone in the audience just to write down is, what's the one thing from this panel that you'll take back to practice? And then we can share it later. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.